Hello everyone. Welcome to today's listening practice. This video will help you improve your English listening skills and pronunciation. I suggest you pause after each sentence and try to repeat what you hear. Today, I want to share a story about love and winter magic. Sophie, a teacher from Montreal, found more than just a coat at a thrift shop. She found love. Are you ready? Let's go to the story. My name is Sophie. I'm 35 years old. I teach French literature at a high school in Montreal. For 3 years, I lived alone. Winter came early that December. The cold wind was very strong. My old coat was broken. I needed a new coat. Something warm. Something cheap. Something to protect me from the cold. The thrift shop on St. Denis Street looked interesting. I passed it every day going to school. I watched people go in and out with bags of old clothes. That Tuesday afternoon, I finally went inside. The air smelled like old clothes and old perfume. Dust moved in the weak sunlight. Coats hung on metal bars like ghosts. Each coat had stories from the past. I walked slowly through them. I touched different materials. Wool, leather, cotton, silk. Then I saw it. A beautiful blue coat in the corner. It was behind some evening dresses. Navy blue, like the sky at night. The wool was soft and expensive. Someone loved this coat before. I took it from the rack. I held it against my body. The sleeves looked perfect. The length was exactly right. It felt like it was waiting for me. I put it on in front of the old mirror. It fit perfectly. But something felt different. Heavier than normal. I put my hand in the right pocket to check for holes. My fingers touched something. Paper. My heart jumped. I pulled it out carefully. It was a list written by hand on nice paper. The paper was folded 4 times. The writing was neat and careful. Someone used a good pen with blue ink. At the top it said, "Places to Love in Winter, Montreal Edition." Below were 10 places around the city. Each place had a small red heart next to it. At the bottom, someone wrote, "For my darling Marie, all my love, D." I looked at the list for a long time. Who was Marie? Who was D? Why did they leave this personal thing in a coat pocket? The questions made me feel excited and curious. I paid $15 for the coat. I walked home through the snowy streets. But I couldn't stop thinking about that list. The careful writing. The red hearts. The word darling written with so much love. It felt like holding someone's heart in my hands. That evening, I put the list on my kitchen table. I made chamomile tea. I studied each place carefully. Mount Royal Lookout. The old church on Notre Dame. The skating rink at Parc LaFontaine. The jazz cafe on St. Laurent. The bookstore on Plateau. The winter market at Place Jacquardia. I knew these places. But I never saw them through love's eyes. My apartment felt very empty that night. The silence was loud. When did I stop hoping for love? When did I accept being alone forever? My last boyfriend left me 2 years ago. Marcus said I was emotionally closed. Maybe he was right. Maybe I built walls too high for love to find me. But this list made me remember dreams. It made me imagine sharing special moments with someone. I made a decision that surprised me. I would visit these places. All of them. Maybe I wouldn't find love. But I would find adventure. I would find pieces of someone else's love story. The next Saturday morning, I put on my blue coat. I took the metro to Mount Royal. Snow covered the mountain like a white blanket. The air was clean and fresh. It felt full of possibilities. The lookout was crowded with families taking photos. Young couples were kissing in the cold air. The city was below us, peaceful and beautiful. Buildings sparkled in the morning sun. I stood at the metal fence. I watched my breath make small clouds in the wind. I was thinking about Marie and Di, wondered if they stood in this exact spot. Then a deep voice behind me spoke. "First time here this winter?" I turned around slowly. A man stood 3 feet away. He was maybe 40 years old. He had dark brown hair and green eyes. Beautiful green eyes that seemed to see everything. He wore a green scarf that matched his eyes. He had a black wool coat that looked expensive. When he smiled, something in my chest moved like a bird trying to fly. "Not exactly," I said. My voice sounded different, breathless. "But first time with this." I pulled out the list. My hands were shaking a little. His reaction was immediate. His face went completely white. His eyes got very wide. He looked shocked, maybe even scared. He stared at the paper like he was seeing a ghost. "Where did you find that?" he whispered. His voice was so quiet I could barely hear him. "In a coat pocket. At a thrift shop on St. Denis." My heart started beating very fast. I was sure he could hear it. "Do you know something about it?" He didn't say anything. He walked to a nearby bench and sat down hard, like his legs couldn't hold him up anymore. I followed him. I sat beside him. I left some space between us, but I could feel the warmth from his body. I could smell his cologne. It smelled like wood and something masculine. It made my stomach feel tight with desire. "I wrote this list," he said very quietly. I had to lean closer to hear him. 2 years ago. For someone I loved more than anything." He stopped talking. He stared at the city below us. When he spoke again, his voice was thick with sadness. We were going to visit all these places together that winter. It was going to be our adventure. Our way of falling in love with Montreal again. His hands became fists in his lap. But she got sick in November. Breast cancer. Very bad cancer. She died 3 days before Christmas. We never visited even one place on the list. I felt tears starting in my eyes. The cold air made them hurt. "I'm so sorry," I whispered. "My name is David," he said. Finally, he looked directly at me. When our eyes met, something electric happened. Something that made my cheeks hot despite the cold. I gave away all of Marie's clothes after she died. I couldn't look at them anymore. Her coat was the last thing to go. I forgot about the list in the pocket. We sat quietly for several minutes. The city looked different now. Not just beautiful, but fragile, precious, full of stories and sadness and hope. "Would you like to finish the list?" I asked. I surprised myself by being so bold. "With me? I think Marie would want someone to see these places. To love them like she would have." David looked at my face for a long time. His eyes looked at my lips, then back at my eyes. "I haven't been able to visit any of these places since she died," he said. "They felt too special, too painful. Maybe it's time," I said softly. Maybe she's ready for you to share them with someone new. Something changed in his face. Like a door opening. Like a wall falling down. What's your name? He asked. Sophie. Sophie, he repeated. Like he was tasting the sound. I think Marie would like you very much. Over the next few weeks, we met every Saturday and Sunday. Each place on the list became a chapter in our story. At the old church on Notre Dame, David told me about his work. He was an architect. He loved designing spaces where people felt safe and beautiful. His hands moved gracefully when he talked. I found myself imagining how they would feel touching my skin. At the skating rink in Parc Lafontaine, he held my hand to keep me steady. His fingers were strong and warm even through our gloves. When I fell against his chest, we stayed pressed together for a moment. I could feel his heart beating as fast as mine. At the Jazz Café on St. Laurent, we shared a small table in the corner. The lighting was dim and romantic. David ordered wine. As the evening went on, we moved our chairs closer to hear each other over the music. His knee touched mine under the table. Neither of us moved away. He told me about Marie that night. How they met in university. How she laughed at bad jokes. How she made the best apple pie in Montreal. How she faced cancer with amazing courage. How she made him promise before she died that he wouldn't stop living after she was gone. But I did stop, he said. His fingers drew patterns on the table between us. For 2 years I just existed. I went to work. I came home. I went to sleep. I wasn't really alive. I reached across the table. I put my hand over his. The touch sent electricity up my arm. I understand, I said. I've been doing the same thing. Different reason, same result. I told him about my loneliness. How I built walls around my heart after my last relationship ended. How I was scared to hope for love again. How I convinced myself I was better off alone. But you're not alone now, he said. He turned his hand so our fingers could hold together. Neither of us is. At the bookstore in Plateau, we found out we both loved the same authors. David bought me a book of love poems by Pablo Neruda. When he gave it to me, his fingers touched mine. This time the touch lasted several heartbeats. I looked up. He was watching me with eyes so intense I couldn't breathe. Sophie, he said quietly. We were standing very close between the bookshelves. I need to tell you something. What? I whispered. I'm falling in love with you. The words hung in the air like a confession. I didn't think I would ever feel this way about anyone again. But you've brought me back to life. Before I could answer, he leaned down and kissed me. Softly at first, carefully, giving me a chance to pull away. But I didn't want to pull away. I wanted to fall into him completely. I kissed him back with all the love I had been storing in my heart for years. When we finally stopped, we were both breathing hard. I'm falling in love with you too, I said. It scares me. Me too, he said. He touched my cheek with his thumb. But maybe being scared together is better than being safe and alone. At the winter market at Place Jacques Cartier, David bought me hot chocolate. It had whipped cream and cinnamon on top. We walked through the stalls looking at handmade jewelry and warm scarves. We acted like a real couple. Like people who belong together. When some whipped cream got on my lower lip, David stopped walking. He turned to face me. "You have something," he said. His voice was husky. Instead of telling me to wipe it off, he leaned down and kissed it away. The touch of his tongue on my lip was quick but electric. I gasped. He smiled against my mouth. Then he kissed me properly. Right there in the middle of the market, with people walking around us. We kissed like teenagers who couldn't control themselves. On the last day of winter, we reached the final place on the list. A small park I had never seen before. It was hidden between two residential streets. There was a bench under an old oak tree. The branches were just starting to show tiny green buds. David pulled a thermos from his bag. He poured 2 cups of coffee. Steam rose between us in the cool air. "Marie and I came here on our first date 20 years ago," he said. "This bench was our special place. Where we had our first kiss. Where I asked her to marry me." I felt jealous for a moment. Then I felt guilty. "Are you sure you want to be here with me?" I asked. David put down his coffee. He took my hands in both of his. "Sophie, listen to me. I will always love Marie. She was the love of my youth. My first great love. But that doesn't mean I can't love again. That doesn't mean I can't love you." He pulled me closer on the bench until our legs were touching. "These past weeks with you have been the happiest I've felt since she died. You've brought light back into my world. You've brought love back into these places that were special to Marie and me." I felt tears on my cheeks. But they were happy tears. Tears of relief and gratitude. "You saved me too," I said. I was disappearing, becoming invisible to myself. "You reminded me that I'm still alive, that I'm still worthy of love." Spring was coming. We could feel it in the air, in the way the light lasted longer each day, in the softness of the wind. David stood up and pulled me to my feet. He held my face in his hands. He looked into my eyes so intensely, I felt like he could see my soul. "I love you, Sophie," he said. Not as a replacement for what I lost, but as something entirely new and beautiful. "I love you too," I whispered when he kissed me under that oak tree. I felt Marie's presence like a blessing, like she was smiling somewhere. Happy that David found love again. Happy that our list brought us together. That night, for the first time in 3 years, I didn't sleep alone. David and I made love slowly and carefully, like we were discovering something precious and fragile. His hands were gentle on my skin. His mouth was soft on my neck. We whispered each other's names in the darkness like prayers. The next morning, I wrote my own list while David made breakfast in my kitchen. Places to love in spring, Montreal Edition. When I gave it to him, he laughed. He pulled me into his arms. He spun me around my small kitchen until we were both dizzy with happiness. Now we write lists together. Summer places. Autumn places. Places we want to see around the world. The blue coat hangs in my closet, but sometimes I put it on just to remember. To remember that love can find us when we least expect it. That even in winter, even in sadness, beautiful things are waiting to bloom. I still teach French literature. I still live in Montreal. But my life is no longer small or empty. David moved in with me last month. We're planning our wedding for next winter. We want to get married at Mount Royal Lookout, where our story began, with the city below us like a promise of all the adventures still to come. Sometimes the best gifts come in old coat pockets. Sometimes love finds us when we're just looking for something warm to wear. Sometimes the end of one love story is just the beginning of another. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment about what you thought of Sophie and David's love story. Your comments help you practice writing in English too.